Hi guys, Brand here, and today I can't believe I'm making this video, and honestly, I'd rather not be making this video because if you stuck around with the YouTube or the Twitch for a long time, you know that I'm not the biggest Chucky fan. I don't particularly very intensely enjoy this killer from either side of the game. Vaulting through windows, doing the little window scamper thing and chasing after people on the killer side of things is pretty fun, but not much else feels very enticing about this killer for me to play as, and definitely probably my least favorite character to play against. So TLDR, I don't really enjoy the killer too much, but one thing I can admit, despite my negativity bias towards the killer, is that they are tremendously strong. So lo and behold, my surprise that a lot of people for some reason perceive that Chucky is extremely weak. I'm not kidding. Somebody told me yesterday that Chucky was worse than half the roster. I'm not kidding. I'm not exaggerating. Somebody told me that Chucky was worse than half of the Dead by Daylight roster. I was shocked by that opinion, and it was not only made by one person in the Twitch chat that I was talking about, but it was corroborated by other people in the chat that they thought Chucky was worse than half the roster. I thought I hated this character. I thought I disliked Chucky, but man, homies are doing him dirty. Homies are doing him dirty. So we're going to be talking about why Chucky is a good character, which is not something I ever thought about to say. I feel like it was pretty obvious that Chucky was a great character and a very, very strongly designed killer, but I guess we have to break that down because that is not common knowledge. So the main reason that people usually dog on Chucky, most reasons that people hate this character and think that they're weak is because they're 110. Most characters are 115, so Chucky is 110, so 5 less than the average killer. So he is particularly slow because of his small little doll legs, which makes it harder for him to traverse and punish the map as well as other people can. Usually when another character is 110, it's usually because they have some sort of ranged ability that helps them affect characters far away, or it is because they have some sort of movement ability that helps them move as a secondary tool, something like Spirit, for example. But I don't think this is something that holds him back to the extent that he is suddenly now a weak character, especially weaker than half the roster, because there's plenty of characters in the game that are built on what I like to call an all eggs in one basket kind of like playstyle. Characters like Pyramid Head, characters like Deathslinger fall into the zone of like where they don't really have any large map pressure to speak of, because either, you know, Slinger's obviously 110 himself, and even though he has a ranged attack, it's only able to span about the length of Shaq roughly, so it's not like it can, you know, affect people super far away. Pyramid Head has one of the best chases in the game if he's really, really good, being able to hit through objects, and especially with double range, that can get pretty nasty, but has no ability to traverse the map in any meaningful way. But the way these characters work and why they do work is because all eggs in one basket, they are so good at their singular thing that they've been made to good at, that being chase, that their chases are so quick that they make up for that time so they can travel around the map. If on average their chases are better and faster than every other killer that has a map mobility tool, they kind of like even out somewhere because their chase time saved transfers directly into traversal time across the map. And this is where we get back to Chucky, because Chucky not only has 1 but 2 anti-chase tools. Chucky has not 1 but 2 anti-chase tools. Homie has the Scamper and the Slice and Dice. Scamper obviously being the ability to just jump under pallets or jump over windows, and the Slice and Dice being his kind of like Blight Hug Tech curve thing that he can do, which now is the only character in the game that can do that besides Wesker, which is really strong and really, really good. So not only does he has 1 tool to deal with strong loops, but he has 2. He has 2 tools to deal with strong loops. There'll be situations where Scamper won't solve the situation because obviously if somebody just drops the pallet, you just slide under and hit them. But if there's a multitude of pallets in a small area, you may have to Slice and Dice. But if if it's a situation that's like the vice versa, where you want to go for a Slice and Dice, but like the pallet's too safe, you just Scamper. They kind of like cover each other's bases in that regard, which is really, really nice. It's really, really good. So even though that he does not have a tremendous way to run across the map and macro pressure, he's saving time by having such a good chase. And one of the things that I've heard as a counterpoint to this is that if you miss, it's really punishing. And I think when we're talking about like tier lists and the potential strength of a character, we're not talking about Joe Schmo who bought the character last week who is missing half of his Slice and Dices, if not more. That is not a good way to judge any character in this game. If you judged every character in this game based off of how effective can somebody be just by picking up and playing them for like a week or a month, like the tier list would be all out of whack because you're not seeing the character's full potential. You're not seeing them play to something that's very, very efficient, something that shows that the character can really, really lay out their power. There's plenty of really, really great Chuckies out there, like Anonymous, the fake Bennett. Fake Bennett's probably the best Chucky that I watch. Horitomi is another one. Ashlow's pretty good, although Ash hasn't been streaming as much lately, but Ash got really, really good at that character too. Like, there's plenty of good Chuckies that can show you what happens if you don't miss and go on that cooldown of 18 seconds, because cooldown, that 18-second cooldown is pretty brutal, I will say that. But saying the character's bad because you miss a lot is not a valid point. Like, if you go watch somebody who actually lands most of their hits, you get to see the full potential of the character. You can't judge it based on the fact that you aren't good at the power yet. That doesn't affect the objective strength of the character. Furthermore, I wanted to circle back to the whole macro pressure thing, because that's something I feel like is harped on a lot. Chucky has potentially the strongest stealth ability in the game, because in his hidey home mode, which is before he slice and dices or scampers, he is undetectable, and he gets these little like fake footsteps that go around the map that make it hard to figure out if he's coming for you or not. He does have an audio cue when he's close. So he like giggles, he goes, but like that bugs out half the time. So it's like, it's not consistent. And not only that, is he's also very tiny. So it's like quite literally hard to see him, even if he's not undetectable and you can see his red stain. Like, it's really hard to see him. If you've watched a good Chucky, they'll tell you about this thing called Chuck spots, where you can literally like stand in corners and just like essentially disappear in the middle of a loop. And it's just, it's very funny to watch, but it's very, very effective. But you have probably one of the best abilities to sneak up on people in the game. So while you do not have the ability to physically traverse the map in a quick and efficient manner, you are able to get the drop on people way better than most killers can, which is a very, very strong part of their kit. I think even if it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, well, I didn't have a good time with him, I didn't have a good time, and you just have your negativity bias coming through about like, oh, this character sucks, then I would encourage you to go look out into the greater DBD landscape. Look at people that have like, 6 to 12k hours in the game and like ask them how they feel. Look at their tier list. A lot of these people are content creators, like Ottstar, for example, that puts out tier lists fairly regularly. And usually if you check a creator that has a tier list that has been playing the game for like 6k plus hours, usually they put Chucky in firmly an A or A plus tier, and with good reason. I have seen Chucky is not as good as people think he is, but usually they still put him like low A, high B, kind of like that, around that xenomorph kind of area. But like worse than half the characters in the game, I can't believe that. I can't believe that. So the ways I would fix this would watch good Chuckies play and cross-reference a bunch of tier lists of people that have the experience, not only with the character, but with the game. Because holy moly, Chucky is not bad. Chucky is far from bad. So, whew, yeah. Anyways, I'm glad I was able to hopefully change your mind about that and dissuade some very interesting takes today. But I never thought I'd be here defending Chucky on the channel, but the world's an interesting place. I mean, will surprise us. So yeah, what do you guys think? Do you think Chucky is strong, or do you think he is weaker than half the roster? Let me know in the comments below. More than that, be for today's video, friends. Thank you so much for watching. But other than that, I will see you tomorrow. If I do not, I will see you when I see you. Bye-bye.